So let's affirm that every time someone speaks on your plans, dreams, or goals, they actually, speed up and enhance your manifestations, okay? And if you want to get a little spicier, you could say, like, hmm, I bind and curse the tongues and minds um, of those who speak and think against us. If you want to do it for the whole collective, because obviously, we could help boost each other up. But yeah, that's a spicier one, but they're both highly effective, right? But they have different, obviously, like effects, So honestly, personally, I would layer them both. And when it comes to things like that, you have to actually believe that it's true, as with anything. Uh, but the reason why I felt compelled to you know, push those like affirmations is because you may have recently figured out that you have a rat in your camp, so to speak, okay? Like you could have told somebody in confidence about things that you still have underway. It's giving like leak energy, you know? You know how like artists like rappers, sometimes there will be leaks of their albums before time like it's time for them actually to be released, you know? Um but I'm getting like, in this case, the because okay, you may see a lot of messages just in general, or even, that old wives' tale of, you don't want to jinx things. You just have to unwire yourself from even believing that that's a possibility, and you have to shift your mindset into more of like a no press is bad press. Like if you want to think of it as like them giving you free energy, right? It takes energy for someone to speak about you. It takes them energy to think about you and everything. So you can like either feel that energetic drain. It almost feels like, well, at least like, I don't know, if you're, I don't know, have some sort of clear abilities, I kind of feel it as a literal like a puncture somewhere in my energy, and I can just tell when people are talking about me. And then obviously it goes on and gets confirmed from that person who will like claim, "Oh, well, I didn't realize it was a secret, or I was just telling them because it affects me somehow." You know what I mean? But again, you can reclaim the energy, and this is kind of how you alchemize all situations because, I don't want any. I think that, there may have been something that you were trying to keep secret and protect it. This could even be, say, you got pregnant and you were trying to keep it secret, and then now it's like spreading, okay? Um, and you're like panicking. Maybe there's like something in the energy about subconscious superstitions in regards to you feel like too many people knowing before it's fully materialized is going to like interfere or hurt or tamper with the full manifestation or materialization of this thing that is a dream come true for you in some way, you know? But we're reframing our mindsets in regards to that, hence the affirmations at the beginning. You just have to shift your mindset to believing like this is actually really great, the more people speak on this, whether it's positive or negative, it just, I choose for that energy to just feed into my manifestation and my intentions for this thing that I have, if that makes sense. you know if you think of it as like say you have like a big canister or whatever, and people are just, I don't know why I'm hearing I drink your milkshake from like There Will Be Blood. But if you just like the movie, but you have to think of it as people giving you free energy. Just that's all you have to think of it. It doesn't really matter what they are saying, even if they're saying it in a sarcastic way, or they are subconsciously or even like consciously pushing doubt on your situation, because it's giving the energy of some people hearing your plans. Like I've had this happen to me in the past, right? Like obviously we're always evolving and growing and making new plans, but before I made like a big move in the past, it was like you know I guess, I like told a mother figure who I thought would keep the confidence until it was done, like a done deal. There were still like details to iron out. And then she went and like told everybody, people who don't even like me. And then there was a lot of like, yeah, as if that's actually going to happen. Yeah, right. That's never going to actually happen. Blah, blah, blah. And then it ended up happening anyway. So you just kind of have to like, if you start to panic because you're like, oh my God, there's too many people getting involved in this. I'm hearing somebody who, like, you may believe in like the concept of loose lips sink ships in some way. And I would say that, you just can't let that doubt, like, you have to just trust and believe that something is meant for you so deeply and so profoundly, and that it is a done deal for you, to where nothing anybody can say can interfere with it. You just have to deeply believe that, okay? Because like I've had a lot of negative stuff projected upon me in the past, um, like heavily, you know, like leaving a long-term relationship, and then, it's like a same mother figure saying, "Oh, what? So you're just gonna stay single for the rest of your life?" Which obviously didn't like it. That didn't happen. But if I was in a different mindset, if I was, you know what I mean, um, that could have like instilled a sense of doubt, or like, "Oh yeah, maybe I'll never find somebody else." But like, you just can't. You know what I mean? You just have to say, "Oh, well." You just have to like have some sort of affirmation or belief that regardless of the energy that people are like projecting towards you, you just take it as fuel for whatever your intention is. You know what I mean? Like, it's just always to your benefit regardless of what how they intend it to be or whatever. Like, you could dwell on certain, I don't know, unavoidable truths, such as, people always want to see you fail, blah blah blah, but that's not like helpful to think about. You know what I mean? um yeah, yeah, sure, but that's kind of irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter. There's more productive thoughts that you could be circulating within your mind. And I'm not saying this in like hmm, like, obviously this takes a lot of work, and I'm not perfect either. I always delve into the mindset of like focusing on, oh, everyone is like, oh, everyone's like wishing ill on things that would just genuinely make my life better, blah blah blah. But that's always going to be happening, and you just can't control that. So it's just kind of irrelevant. You know what I mean? Um, it's best again to just focus on affirmation, just even if you don't use the ones that I use, because I was just throwing it out there. But like, um, you just have to affirm that regardless of what people say, you know, it just boosts your manifestations. Okay. And obviously you have to be very clear on what you want, um because sometimes we could be manifesting things that are less than what we deserve because we think that the things that we actually desire are impossible for us. But you have to get into the mindset of like the law of assumption, basically. Like, you know focus on the thing that you desire regardless of what it is, and actually like visualize yourself in that state. Like, I see some guy who like went on to um own like multiple $1 million properties, but even while he was like, you might see this circulating on TikTok or whatever, but like, and even while he was in his like 900-foot apartment, he still sort of like got into the energy and felt as if he was already in one of those mansions. You know what I mean? Like, he just like, so that when he actually was in one of those mansions, he felt the same because he had already matched the internal state of the version of him that is already in that space. You know what I mean? Regardless of what his external circumstances look like. So it's kind of like, even if you're still driving like a beater car or whatever, you need to like feel as if you're in a Bentley. And like, again, you don't have to just take my word for this. Like, there are people who are like billionaires, multimillionaires, who have like, self-made people who have lived their lives by this, and they actually achieved their goals from going from like a small apartment to, you know what I mean. So it's not, you know what I mean, like, I think you just need to erase that whole perception of things being delusional, because everything is delusional until it's true. You know what I mean? If you want to, like, I just don't think that that's a helpful way of thinking, right? um because if you don't have the dream at all and you don't believe in the dream at all, it can't come true, obviously. And you can't attach to the ways in which it will unfold. I think that, like, especially if you have people around you who, even if they're sort of in a lack mindset, that doesn't necessarily mean they're a terrible person, but they could be unhelpful for you to be around if they're always like, oh, I wish I wasn't so broke, or oh, you have all these big dreams. How is that even going to happen? How's that even going to happen? Well, honestly, that's not your or their business how it's going to happen. If you just like know and deeply trust and feel that it has happened already, then it will happen. You know what I mean? Like, on a quantum level, okay? And like, look into the law of assumption and stuff like that. You don't have to take my word for it, like Neville Goddard and stuff like that. But yeah, it's going to happen regardless. So don't worry about people, like, if you have like someone who can't keep their mouth shut around you, who told everyone your business, it's still going to happen anyway.